Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is my attempt to do a live narrated video. And I've just arrived and found out I'm missing some of my stuff, which is a bit of a pain, which means I can't do the ground recording, because I wanted to talk about the sort of picture I managed to get and where it was dodgy and my OSD, but I managed to forget one of the cables to do that, so I'm stuck on just recording through my GoPro. Which is now recording. I'm just, at the moment, pressing the button to reset my OSD. Let's have a look. Okay. It's a moderately windy day and kind of a bit chilly, but we'll see how we get on. So first thing to do is take off, and although I love my legs on my quad, they can become a bit of a pain taking off, as they tend to dig into the very soft mud I have here. So let's see how we go today. Oop, yeah, a little bit sideways there. Okay, so I'm over here in the field. Hello. So as you might imagine, I'm starting off in GPS mode. Just get a quick circle of the field, make sure I'm happy with everything here. So this field's about 350 metres long. It's kind of a little bit long and thin. Oh look, there's a deer there. Let's just go say hi to this deer while we're in the area. Two deer. They're normally very, very worried. But he's kind of just a little bit interested to see what this flying thing is today. It's very interesting. Yeah, it doesn't take long before they decide whatever it is going to eat them. Which I always find interesting, because there's no real natural predators in the UK for deer. But they are very, very wary of everything. They've still got that very flight response to almost anything that comes near to them. Alright, so just up to the end of the field now. Fine picture, just only 270 metres here. And, ooh, looks like the wind's quite against me coming back. So what I wanted to demonstrate here is, this is GPS mode, and if I just leave my stick like that, it's going to sit quite happily. Now if I put it all the way forward, that's as far as it gets, and you see there's a slight list to the right here, as it's taken into account of the wind and corrects itself. And this stick is all the way forward at this point, so that is the maximum forward angle that we're going to get in GPS. It really does take quite a bit of control away, but at the same time it's very, very simple and very easy to use for FPV. You don't really have to think about it at all. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to stop here. I'm just behind myself. I'm just going to flick into attitude mode. We should see a difference quite soon. We're listing there, flicking into attitude now. You see we've come straight, but if I look this way, see it's kind of just floating around. Yeah, we're wandering. So what I'm going to do now is going to push the stick all the way forward again. You see we get a much higher angle, so we can do a much more higher speed now. Jesus. Goodness, I'm doing 80 kilometres an hour, which is a bit scary. Just goes to show what the wind's like. Yeah, and we have to manage the throttle a lot more and just make sure that we're not... Whoops. Just lost picture a little bit there. Make sure we're not diving towards anything. Something just to consider a little bit more. You just can't stop it and expect it to stay there. At the same time, we're going to get these nice sort of sweeping turns. It's sort of almost like a power slide in a car. If I let the sticks go here, I'll come back to centre, but you'll see I carry on sliding. What I'm going to do is do that, flick it back to GPS now. Let's do that same manoeuvre and see what happens. Because as I've already talked about power sliding in a car, it'd be quite nice to see what a handbrake turn is like. In fact, an emergency stop in the case of this. Let's just circle back around again. This is back in GPS, and this is the stick fully forwards. Done it the other way actually, a little bit quicker. We're doing 40, 50 kilometres an hour this way, and I'm just going to let the aileron elevator stick go. And what we basically do is not just come to a graceful stop, Naza slams the brakes on for us. So again, it's useful under certain circumstances. It's very useful if you you know, you don't want to drift on, you want to stop and see what's going on. But it can be quite strange if you're used to a much more manual flying style. I'm just behind myself in this field. What I'm doing now is get up a little bit more height, and I'll switch to manual mode. Right, attitude. Now in manual mode. Manual mode, pushing the stick forward, you see I get as much angle as I like. And it's very much up to me to control every aspect of the flight. Now if I push the stick forward and leave it, the stick stays forward. I have to rescue it back. And again, a very interesting thing is being in manual mode, flick into GPS, voomp, on go the brakes again. So that's the Naza modes. That's been 5 minutes of my flying time. So what I'm going to do now is come down a bit lower, because I do like to have a quick buzz around the trees and see what's there. Already managed to catch some deer today, which is always nice. Just circle around behind me. Follow down this tree line. I'm back into GPS now, basically because it's a very simple mode to fly in where I don't have to think about it. I can just have a nice look around. If I want to make it slightly more exciting and dynamic, I'd be in attitude, but this close to trees, it's always nice not to know you're going to be easily blown in there. As you see, my field is very wet. There's not a single place in this field I'd like to go down because I think the quad would be buried about a foot with all the very soft mud and stuff. Down a little bit closer to the deck. It feels quite nice. Let's go through these trees here. This is where ground recording would have been handy. But what I get on this, I just get a quick flicker on my FPV feed, just as I go behind that tree, but no real serious loss. But there are generally places in this field, for whatever reason, that you lose the picture for no apparent reason. It can be absolutely straight and open, and yet certain places will be dodgier than others. And I guess even though we're a field in the middle of nowhere, you know, there's sewer lines running through here and there's phone lines at the end, so I guess there's, you know, electricity cables and all sorts around here. And of course not disguised by any concrete as it might be around a city. So behind myself again now, just following the path as I like to sometimes, flying by the trees. Looking out for anybody. Quite relieved there's no dog walkers so far today, because I am actually stood here holding a silly looking radio, wearing stupid glasses, talking to myself essentially, and that may take some bit of explaining. So we're up here, let's pop it down to attitude mode. I like to do the odd dive, and you just get a better dive in attitude. Whee! Nothing's more fun than this. Back to GPS, slight list. So, there's quite a good view of the field here. You see it's long and thin. It's not the best place to fly something like a plane, where you really don't want. If this tree's here right in the middle of the screen were gone, I'd be a lot happier. It'd be a much more wider open space. But I've already had a plane stuck in a tree overnight, so I don't really want to repeat that. I can see, I can't show you my ground recording, but I can see my voltage is starting to come downwards a little bit more. We've been flying just about 9 minutes, and we should get a comfortable 10 out of the 2 batteries I've got. I've got two 2200s in parallel I'm using just to fly around with. And 10 minutes is a sort of comfy point. I expect to hear a blip on my radio any minute just to say, hey, that's your 30 seconds until 10 minutes. And this will push on to 11 or maybe 12 minutes, but it's much nicer to come down sensible time. Now, as it's got quite a wet field and quite a limited place to land, I'll do my little thing that I sometimes do to bring it in visually, which isn't that easy for me because I wear glasses. I can't simply take these off. My FatSharks, that is. But there's me. Let's get a bit closer to myself. And what I'm going to do is just, oh, there's my beeper. Flick my throttle to say 50%. Just going to stay there. Stay up. There you go. Take my FatSharks off. Look at my glasses in here. Lay it down. Glasses on. Aha, I can see. I have vision loss again. There's no point sitting. I'll take the 50% off. Pause myself. Beeping in here. Just going to turn off this thing saying it's done more than 10 minutes. Let's bring it in. I'm going to land tail in. Pardon the rudeness. Just so I can take out a decent place in all this very wet, long grass. And there you go. Thanks for flying with me.